Welcome to Built for This. I'm your host, Brian Briscoe. My podcast features captivating conversations with intriguing people who have found purpose in their lives through their career, family, or life experiences, and just why they were built for this. Through the stories that you will hear, I trust that you will be inspired and encouraged to find just what you were built for. So let's get started. And welcome again to another episode of Built for This, and welcome into the studio. Now, this is going to be a big treat for me here today. I've got a good longtime friend. He is the three-term mayor, outgoing mayor of the city of Denton, Texas. Gerard Hudspeth is my guest. Gerard, thanks for jumping in the studio today.
Hey, man, thank you very much, Brian. Great to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
We're going to talk a lot about Denton, a lot about being mayor and your life and everything. But I guess first thoughts first. You know, this is just pretty recent now, and the episode of Hero Drop. But just recently, you're finishing up 3 terms as the mayor of Denton, Texas. And what are kind of your fresh, outgoing thoughts about what you've been able to accomplish and just what it was like to lead the city?
You know, a lot of mixed emotions. I would being, true. The hardest part, I think, after the fact was I had some thoughts and I couldn't. I had to suppress them. Like, hey, I need to call staff, and I was like, you gotta let go.
Yeah.
And so that was unique because I hadn't had that do that. Normally, it's a phone call or text, and so that's one thing. But the time itself, reflecting upon that, it's just amazing, right? But really, it's the hardest part. I will tell you is. People ask like, hey, what did you get done? And I was just so focused on daily stuff. There's big things that got done for sure, but I'm just really focused on helping people. Like Brian reaches out and they're not picking up his trash, or there's a pothole in front of his house, or there's a broken fence that needs to get all those things, right? Yeah. And those are that's every day for 6 years. And that's really what I want to focus on. I'm like, hey, I got a lot done for the taxpayers of the city of Denton. And that's really cool. And then being the mayor of my hometown is fantastic.
You know, you bring up a great point, Gerard. A lot of people, when they think about leaders and leadership, they think about those big picture items. You know, like you said, what are you going to accomplish, this and that. But what was that? I wouldn't say eye-opening because you served as a city council on the council. Was it eye-opening to realize once you became mayor that wow, you know, there's a lot of day-to-day things that. I'll get to those big picture things, but just like what you said, you know, I got to wake up and I got this agenda of potholes and stuff for these communities, citizens that are having so many things every day, but just the day-to-day that a mayor for a city is required to do. Yeah,
you're spot on because there is no training for it. And the transition from council to mayor is pretty vast. It's the craziest thing. Because I'm a creature of habit. I do the same thing, eat the same thing every day. And so you take those 3 years I was on council before being mayor, I was doing the same thing. Roll that into being mayor, and all of a sudden it's, oh, no, the mayor said. I was like, I've been saying that. No one was paying attention. Yeah. And it also, even in meetings, I could feel it. Like when you're chairing the meetings and you're running them, you have to be locked in. Yeah. Like if I'm just a district rep, I'm waiting for my opportunity to talk on my thing. But when I'm orchestrating who gets to talk when and balancing that out and pulling out the right information, you've got to be locked in. So it was really different from that perspective. And then just the response, right? Like best way I could explain it is there's a church in town. They say, hey, we pray for all our electeds, they told me, every week. But we pray for the governor, the president, and the mayor by name, and then everyone else is just elected. And so it really kind of that hit me. It's like, wow. I mean, it's a really big deal.
It's a big responsibility.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to talk a lot about Denton, but just you and when did you feel like? Because I kind of know this story about your dad and that you've been involved in around city politics for a long time. But when did you feel that you know what? I think I need to be in a service role. And I'm going to serve my community in a civic-minded service sort of way.
Man, it's interesting. I think those seeds were planted. Like my dad was on the school board when I was in high school, and so I had that experience.
Yeah. We're talking about Willie Hudspeth for our viewers.
Yes,
sure.
Thank you. Yeah, and so But he had friends. He's always rotating in political circles, always talking to people, always doing things. And so one of his friends was like, hey, I think you'd be good. And you'll know this because you're a Denton guy, right? So I think it was, what's his last name? Is it Clifton? Bob Clifton? He used to come and give everyone the business and do all the bad things. Yeah. That guy. He's like, hey, man, I got an idea for you. You'd be great. Off we go. We ran against an incumbent and got smoked. I think, it was like 80-20. The incumbent. You
probably thought, that's a terrible idea. Why did that listen to you?
Right. And I look back at that campaign, it was abysmal, man. It was bad. It was duct taped together.
Yeah.
And so we got through that, though, but it didn't, in true Willie Hudspeth fashion, it didn't run me off. It's just like, hey, I think I can figure this thing out. I enjoy the process, just got to get better at it.
Yeah.
And so then we circle back again, and so now I have the bug there, right? But it really wasn't until he reached out and said, hey, I'll guide you through this process. And that's really the key is you need, and no matter who it is, you got to have someone that sees it in you, right? And then they got to be able to help navigate you to get started, and then whatever natural effects you have kick in. But someone's got to get you to start. Yeah. And so that was it.
Now, obviously, and I know that you and your dad didn't always see eye to eye on issues and subjects and topics, but that was probably a good thing, wasn't it? When you were going to get into this arena. Yes. Because you're going to have to get used to that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. No. Best training ground ever, as I said. I always joke with David Trantham, like he and I got to write a book about how the apple actually does fall far from the tree.
Yes.
But, it was one of those things. But the interesting thing is I tell people all the time it is kind of a core of what he believes is in there, right? Helping people, serving people, all those things. It's just how best to be effective that way, right? And I don't hide from it. I vote different than 80% of the people that look like me. Yeah. And that comes with challenges. But at the same time, I think I walk into rooms and I'm heard and I have a greater effect, just in my estimation, my experience. And so that to me, we're working towards the same goal, affecting change. Yeah. We just may see how to achieve that goal differently.
You have always been, or at least in my perception, I think a lot of people's as well, obviously you got elected and then reelected twice, as a people person. Let's start at that point and then we can tackle the issues from there. But how important has that been all along for you, Gerard, that you were going to connect at the most grassroots, basic level of getting to let me know about you and then we'll go from there?
Yeah, it really is. For me, it fuels everything. Yeah, because those challenges are coming, so I better have an answer for those things. One, but two, I want to do my homework. I want to make sure I'm doing the right thing, and I've been there. I've been where people feel like, hey, I'm standing at this podium at City Hall, and I'm not being heard. They're not addressing those concerns. And so for me, being kind of amongst those people that have those concerns helps me refine that process. And that's why council meetings, we move the public speaking to the front where you can speak first. And I was a single parent for a bit, so I understand that, doing all the things. And so I want to make it so single parents are able to be active in the process. But for me, it all comes down to the voters and being able to weather those storms. And so dealing with that up front, taking those hits up front, understanding those pain points up front, talking to people really helped. And there's some stuff I do kind of even in block walking that engages and helps me kind of talk to people more, just because social media is so it can give you the wrong idea, misguide you, misdirect you, because you think, oh, these people are the community, and it's not. And so it's almost therapeutic to go talk to people at the door.
Face to face.
Yeah. Oh, man, it's fantastic because you'll be like, you think they know all this stuff online and you're talking to them and they have no idea, right? And so it really is helpful to say, I guess the young kids now say go out and touch grass. Yeah. So it's it's kind of like that, right? It's like, hey, let me go touch grass, plug in reality, and get off this thing that the sky is falling, and get out there where there's people enjoying Denton and understand how we can do that better.
Okay, so you get elected mayor. How did you take on that role? I mean, that's a trailblazing role that you had here in the city of Denton when you get elected, and you've already kind of alluded to it. That, you know, when you walk into the room, it's different takes, different perceptions, different whatever, but yet you're a voice for people as well. How did you take that on through the whole time you were mayor? Just, I guess, the weight of it, the importance of it, the magnitude of it, that you were trailblazing on this.
Yeah, no, I think it's an issue.
Yeah,
but it can't be a campaign issue because the majority of the people voting don't want to hear it and don't give a rip, right? Like, it's like, hey, how much are my taxes?
Yeah, that's what they want to know about.
Yeah, and so you gotta. But so I'll step back and say, even real quick, how we got there, right? So I applied to run. I talked to my peers that have been on council longer. No one's going to run. Yeah. There's someone that's already kind of on council that's going to run, but they're advocating for changing directions.
Yeah.
I thought we were good the direction we're going. So I talked to all the people that they're senior to me and no one else is running. I was like, okay, I'm in. And so off we go. And then a third person jumps in. That's noteworthy because I was like, oh man, this is going to mess up the works, right? It's like I had in my mind the votes that are out there. Now we're splitting it 3 ways.
Yeah.
Off we go. Then a pandemic hits, and then we get extended from May to December or November, something like that. And then the November race goes, and so those votes are coming in, and that third person I was worried about sent us to a runoff. I was losing, and by like 1-point-something%. I was able to make the runoff. Mm-hmm. We won in the runoff, take office in December in the middle of a pandemic, all those things. But to your point, it goes back to the other question. We talked to people for over a year by now. We're campaigning, we're talking, we're getting a feel for what people want. And so then it's just a matter of customizing my approach. Like if my approach, I'm like, hey, head down, do your thing. Yeah. But as a mayor and as the elected kind of chief official for the city, you got to say something. So I'm not going to fix the pandemic. I don't know how to, we don't have the money to address the medical issues, but at the same time, you got to say something. Well, what do I say, right? And so you talk to staff and do all those things. That was very difficult for me because it's counterintuitive to me. Like if I'm not adding value, like if it's not, if I'm just saying, hey, I don't know what we're going to do, but we're going to give you, this is the update. We don't know what we're going to do. That's weird to me. Yeah. But as a chief elected, you got to do it. That's
you got to be out front.
Yes, exactly. And so really learned a lot there. Then we get into the pandemic. After the pandemic is Winter Storm Uri. So now everything's frozen from Galveston to Lubbock for the first time. And we're managing through that. But I was better. Then, then I'm having staff come to my house. Hey, we got to put out these announcements, having city staff put out announcements, city managers, those sort of things. Right. So our communication took a step up based on our experience. So it just kind of stacked wins and stacked learning experiences.
Well, you kind of answering the next question there. I was going to say that, or ask, what you learned about yourself, not just as a leader, but personally, Gerard. I mean, you come in, and like you said, at a difficult time. COVID is every community's dealing with that. But what'd you learn about yourself as a leader early on that really helped you for the long haul all the way up through 2026?
Yeah, man, the biggest lesson I learned is everybody didn't grow up in Willie Hudspeth's house. Because we are straight shooters. Yeah. We normally will go at each other until my mom yells at one of us, and then we'll stop and do it all over again the next day. Sure. But no one's feelings are hurt. We're just direct, candid people, and that is not.
No,
that's not for everyone.
That's not for the faint-hearted.
Right. That's one of the biggest lessons I learned is how to communicate with people so that it's received. Yeah. Right? I need it to be received. I don't want to disenfranchise anyone early on, but I do want to be. It's a delicate balance. Yeah. I want it to be predictable, but open to change up until the very last minute. I tell people all the time, I didn't make a decision yes or no until I had to, right? It's on the screen in front of me. We're there. Okay, what do I want to do? But I needed people to have, because I've been there, right, and felt ignored. I needed people. If I meet with Brian a month before we vote and someone comes to the meeting that night and says something that's insightful, I don't want to foreclose that last minute idea because I've already made up my mind.
Sure.
And so that to me was what I had to continue to refine is one, how I communicate with people, and two, how I arrive at decisions, understanding we won't have all the information that you got to go with what you know and make a decision.
You talked about how you had a lot of people, or you talked to a lot of people, and they talked all of you when you were trying to decide to jump in and either run for council or for mayor, and getting that kind of guidance. Talk about how important it is for community people to want to serve or want to run for a council position or whatever it might be, planning and zoning, or and then eventually maybe mayor, but that there needs to be people that are wanting to and be willing to serve the community, and that there's a good there to be had in the end, whether there's confrontation or disagreement, but there's a good for people who want to step out.
Oh man, yeah, you're so right, and it is needed, and I make that plea regularly. I ask now if people are interested, because you don't know what's in you, right? Yeah, and you don't know what it takes. Oftentimes, people are just kind of blind, like they don't know what it is, but I don't know that I like it, and so I'm like, no, it's great, but you're right. It's so important, just those experiences, right? And I would say take that a step further. People that have been in Denton for a while. We just had a council member that left the council, been on council for 4 years, lived in Denton for 5 years. That's not good. I mean, because you just don't understand the culture we're trying to protect, and you're making decisions based on your experience somewhere the way. And I say that to say, man, Denton is truly unique.
Yeah.
It is a very, very different thing. So other cities, okay, I don't know them, but I know Denton, and Denton's really unique. And so you need to spend some time. And so there's people that have been in Denton for a while that may or may not have decided they think it's for them or whatever. But it is truly, the confrontation part is real, but it's so few and far between. I mean, normally if you're talking about, most people want to fix the potholes, want to give a good tax rate, all those things. So it's normally, it's 80, 90% agreement, 10% probably seeing the world different. But even in those 10%, it's really about agreeing on a problem, just different opinions on a fix. And so I'll pivot back an example of that. During the pandemic, I had people like, hey, life and death is in the city council's hands. Every vote we make on this pandemic issue, well, that's tough for me, right? I'm like, no, the Bible says, before I made you, I knew you. And I believe, there's higher powers that are at play here. Yeah. And they may not subscribe to that, but we're all got to come at the same decision. And so, so lastly, an example of that is the council makes a decision to hire like 4 or 5 direct reports. Yeah. And one of them, I was like, man, look, the right person for where we are right now is this person. And 6 other people like, no way. And so I was like, okay, I'm telling you, this is where we need to go. And they're like, no, thank you. And so they voted, and it was 6-1. I'm on the outside of 1. Well, the person didn't have a driver's license, couldn't travel to Denton, couldn't accept the job, and stopped returning phone calls. So the following week, it was 7-0 my way. So,
that changed it in a hurry.
And it worked out. And that person is great and doing great work. But that's really the key is being, real and advocating. And you're going to be on the one side of 6 sometimes, but sometimes you're going to be 4 side of 3, and it's all part of it. But you do the best you can. And so people are needed, especially Dentonites are needed.
And talking about that process, a lot of people that may not be, they're always interested in the outcome and how it affects them, but maybe not really realize, that the council set up the way it is set up. You have you have representatives from each of your areas, and then the mayor. But the importance of, or just the effect that the kind of government that we have municipally here in Denton, Texas, that it's a good setup, and that there is disagreement, but the disagreement's a good thing sometimes to get to the final result. Yeah. But the structure we have, talk a little bit about how it's a good thing.
Sure. Yeah. So let's go. So top down, the city management is amazing, right? They're just subject matter experts all over the place, doing great work. And so the learning curve, there's someone there that'll step you through every bit of it. help you understand, help you arrive at a decision, help you connect with people that if you have follow-up questions. So you have a guided tour from a knowledge-based standpoint.
Right.
Then you get to the actual electeds, and you make me think of this, and so I'm glad you asked the question. Man, the key point is where we started. Potholes, speed limit signs, and those things. Yeah. You don't have to take a vote. There's no contentiousness to it. You work with city staff and you get those things done. Case in point, about a month ago when school was in, I visited elementary school and I was imploring the kids, hey, let me know, playground equipment broken, sidewalk missing. You let me know anything and we'll get to work on it.
Yeah.
And none of those things require a vote. You can just work with city staff and you can help your neighborhood, help your city, help your community all day, every day. And so sure enough, one of the teachers took me up on it. She said, hey, now that you mention it, there's 2 telephone poles in the back right in the middle of a sidewalk. And the kids walk in the street to get around it because kids aren't walking in a single file line at elementary school. Yeah. And sure enough, I drive around, take a look, and there they are. Took a picture. That same week, one of the poles was gone. Just didn't know. Right. And so, and then we're working on a solution to get around the other one. And so every day people are able to help their community. And that's really what I would try to get people to focus in on. When you're running, certainly the meetings are what's flashy, how people vote are what's flashy. But that's not, the difference you can make without having to take a vote would stun an elephant. I mean, you can get a lot done.
You mentioned the uniqueness of Denton. And you obviously grew up here, so this is what you know. Yeah. What sets the city apart from many others here in the metropolitan area of Dallas-Fort Worth, and people listening and watching to this that here in North Texas? What do you think it is that you've seen growing up and then being a leader in the community?
Yeah, the short answer is the people. People. The longer answer is, man, we coexist and get along and tolerate at a level that I've not seen, right? Because Denton's always been this college town, Denton's forgiving of fill in the blank, whatever color hair, whatever tattoos, whatever. It's just like, hey, that's just Denton, right? And then you'll go to other communities where that will get you ostracized or get you kind of set apart. But then also just the commerce, the between Peterbilt and restaurants and bars and just all the different options, and so it's just a really good melting pot in a world that's increasingly fractured and divided. We come together and just kind of work together or work through it, or we'll complain about each other, certainly, but no one moves, right?
Yeah, right. I'm not leaving.
right. We're gonna have to figure this out. And so you have that, and new people, and you hear it so many times. It's amazing. New people come in and are like, I came here and I just stayed, right? Or the I would tell you, Brian, if I talk to 20 city managers, 18 of them went through UNT's management program, right. And just the effect it's had on that, and the GIS program UNT has, and TWU with teachers and medical field stuff and all those things. And so just a unique opportunity to bring a lot of different people together in an environment that supports that is really the unique part of Denton.
And I know that this, we all talk about, and you just mentioned a lot of the businesses in Denton that make Denton, and you mentioned Peterbilt, and there's some others too. But I think it'd be hard pressed to find another town of Denton's size that has 2 major universities in it. The 3 if you took North Central College, but you have those education entities in it, and talk about the impact that has on a community. From employment standpoint to just the resources that institutions like that can deliver.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. So employment, that's from just an economic driver, right? People talk about, the college kids, is that, matters not. Every semester somebody's moving in, they're going to Walmart, buying a new mirror, new dresser, all these things, right? They're shopping here and all those things. So just the impact is undeniable across the board, like you said, all 3. But then the subject matter experts, the volunteerism, I mean, all, and just the draw. I mean, we went to, you're big with tracking along with UNT.
Absolutely.
Athletics.
My alma mater.
Yes, sir. And you know the impact they bring. Just the free commercials we get because the basketball team's in NIT tournament, or the football teams in this bowl game. I mean, and then TWU is bringing in Oklahoma for gymnastics meets, and basketball tournament games are big. And so we're bringing in Baylor this year, the women's basketball team. I mean, so just those impacts, I mean, we couldn't afford to buy that type of advertisement. And so, just a huge impact. But then also just on a humanitarian kind of service side of things, you had a flower garden at TWU on their campus. You have a TWU student that took on, and her project was amazing. I think you're probably aware, but for those listening, she created a cookbook for those healthy items that could be prepared if you have a hot plate or if you don't in a dorm room. And so, kind of meeting people where they are, and they have their studies, just the dietary studies about, and making it cultural as well, because that's another challenge. Yeah. If asparagus is healthy, but if all of a sudden that's not in my normal diet, now I've got to go way out of my way to try to buy some stuff that I'm not
probably not going to do that.
Exactly. Or I'm not going to do it consistently. Yeah. But now they're looking at like, okay, where are you from? What's organic, natural there? What are you used to? Now let's shape something healthy around that. And so those leaders, I mean, Dr. Phaeton, Harrison Keller, are all just plugged in the community doing good things. And so, I couldn't imagine. Now, it brings its own challenges, certainly.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we've had, as a municipal electric, we have to send them a bill, and they're not always happy about it.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure that.
And so we have our challenges, but I couldn't imagine doing it without them. And NCTC, much the same. They're doing some great kind of hands-on training stuff. And we hadn't even talked about Denton ISD with their trade school. I mean, the ATC is a LaGrone Academy now, I guess. Yeah. But amazing work. Matter of fact, they're replicating that. But it's really good.
I'm going to jump kind of around a little bit, but back more on a personal level. When you got into deciding, okay, I'm going to run for some offices and I'm going to try to impact my community and lead. I know your family and your faith is a big part, a big foundation, and a big background. What's that foundational support been like for you to have your family and then your faith with you through this journey that you've had? Because you take a lot of arrows along the way when you're out in front of the people, but you can always come home to that stability.
Yes, yeah, no, man, it is. It's very interesting. I wanted to be intentional about it from day one, just because that was my experience with my dad. My dad would, whatever, he was doing handyman work or whatever. Yeah. Man, we're at Newton Razor, and he's pulling up in a tractor, and we jump on a wheel well and ride. He's pulling through the car lane in a tractor.
Sure. That sounds like him.
Yes. Yeah. We jump on a wheel well, off we go. But he always incorporated us in. He worked us into his schedule, and so he could spend time with us and do all those things. Right. And wherever that bug came from, I caught it. And so for all the sacrifices my wife made, we try to at least go to City Hall and whatever, just do things and hang out, or show them there's an upside to serving your community. It's not all just give. Yeah. You can take advantage of opportunities, that sort of thing. We're always in the 4th of July parade. This will be the first year we're not there as far as in the fire truck bucket. Yeah. And so those things, like trying to make here's some benefits of this thing that's taken away hours and hours of time. Yeah. So I try to be intentional about that. Obviously the ties, right? That's big for me because it's a way for me to bring my babies with me. You bet. And for just kind of talk about them, brag on them a bit, going to their schools regularly, that sort of thing. But so for me, it was a balance of acknowledging that we're going to lose some time in meetings, and what can I do from a access standpoint to offset that or make it fun that we're, going through all these things. And then the kids at school. I mean, that's always hard. There's no fix to it.
Yeah.
I just have to encourage them, right? Because they're like, oh, you're only getting this because your dad's the mayor and all those things. And I was used to it, right? I had to go through it myself.
Yeah.
My favorite line from the principal at Denton High at the time, he said, what would your dad think about you wearing that 2 Live Crew shirt? I was like, I don't know. Let's just not tell him. let's
I don't know what he would say about that.
If we don't tell him, we don't have to know.
I love that.
Ignorance is bliss.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Your faith, and if people can see or that are watching on YouTube, Genesis chapters 37 through 50 is what it says there on your shirt.
Yeah.
Talk about what that means to you in that story.
Oh man, that is
the story of Joseph.
Yes, sir. That's everything political, right? That for me, because Joseph did the right thing and still ended up in the dungeon. Joseph did the right thing and his brothers still sold him. Yeah. But he got there to Potiphar, who was the kind of the king, if you will, at the time, and was able to help them prepare for an oncoming famine. And so they were able to have enough during the famine because of Joseph's leadership. And even when he went to the dungeon, the thing that blew me away, because he had the cupbearer and the baker, and he's like, hey, why are y'all so upset? They're like, because we're in the dungeon.
Yeah, for one.
Yeah. But he maintained his joy and through all those things. And so same thing with politics. And when I'm on the 3 side of 4, there's nothing worse, man. Like,
man, I bet.
I'm like, man, y'all are making the wrong decision. And so it helps me to understand and know that to take that pressure off. Because if you think the weight of the world, the fact that the city, whether it goes or not, is on your shoulders, that's too much. Yeah. You've got to have some, in my estimation, some way to rest assured that God's in charge and I'm just being a steward of this thing, or whatever higher power you believe in. Mm-hmm. But for me, that's my prayer life. That's, family conversations. And that goes back, the family thing is really important to me when along those things, because again, I told you, I do the same thing every day, and I everything is black and white, and my wife reminds me there's gray out there, right?
Yeah, there's gray.
Because I'll forget, I'll be like, oh, hey, you either did the right thing or the wrong thing, and they're like, no,
it's okay right in there.
Yeah, and so no, but that to me, so that story of Joseph is really impactful, because again, you think about it from a faith-based perspective, Job is what a lot of people lean on, and they're like, oh, well, he got everything restored to him. It's like, not the same kids.
No.
Like that.
No.
It's like, wait a minute, that's not a good deal for the ones that didn't get the bounce back. Like,
yeah, right.
So I gravitate towards Joseph a little more, just because, again, Potiphar's wife is chasing after him. He does the right thing, runs away, and then that's what gets him in the dungeon for doing the right thing.
For doing the right thing.
Yeah.
So I'm still applying that here to your journey, and really I think all of us can look at that and say, because many times and many times through my career too, thinking like, boy, this isn't working out at all. But in your journey, like you said, that first campaign you ran, and it didn't, it was 80-20 or whatever it was. But how much did you have to keep telling yourself, like the story of Joseph, that there's a purpose in this and that there's a different story down the road for you, and which turned out to be your story of leadership as mayor? Yeah. But having to lean on that strength during difficult times, how tough was that? Oh, man, incredibly tough, right? Yeah. But both of those races that we lost, I thought we should have been there, but we learned a little bit from them. And I'll tell you, that first one was soul crushing, because not only did we get beat bad, then I had a house full of people that I had to go home to, and I'm not a good loser. And I had to go home and be like, hey, y'all, I'm going to be in the room. Enjoy yourselves. Yeah. Right? There's no post-game party here. No, not at all, man. We're not finding any silver lining. So that faith component of it grows each experience, and sometimes it's afterwards I'm reminding myself, like, hey, don't forget, this happened before, or that happened before, and that sort of thing. And it helps me to find that peace. And then I talk to elementary school kids about it, because it works for me. There's a pastor when we were in church in Dallas, a pastor,
preached on the story of Joseph, and the title was "Bumps Are What You Climb On." And so he kind of took a rock climber's mentality. So I go to elementary school, or even if I'm talking to myself, I'll say, okay, if there's this giant, if I'm midway up a rock climbing wall, and there's this giant smooth spot, is that a problem? Yes.
Yeah. I got nothing to hang on to.
That's right. That's right. And so for me, if things are smooth and or if I'm facing those challenges, that story or that mentality, that kind of rock climber's mentality carries the day. And so same thing, that first one, okay, figure out some stuff. Let's get back to it. The second one, got in late in that race and some stuff, but it was all on purpose, right? I believe, right? Because had I been successful when I wanted to be, I don't know that I would have been in a position to win the mayor's race. And I certainly didn't understand all that goes into being mayor, because I lost my job in between like year 1 or 2 of mayor stuff, and I was job hunting. Yeah. And man, I couldn't find one. I was like, no one's. and my wife, again, wisdom was like, hey,
that's where you go.
It's like, hey, I think you're underestimating how much time this mayor stuff takes.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm like, nothing to see here. Oh, by the way, I'm mayor, but hey, hire me. And they're like, hard pass.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. So I found somebody that was willing to work with me, allow me to serve, and I appreciate them very much. But it was one of those things where, I did not understand it. It's normally on the backside where it's like, oh, I get it.
Always.
Yes.
Now, I like the rock climber mentality and that analogy. So as mayor, when you were mayor, that seems like a perfect analogy when you are dealing with the other council members, and there's all these ideas out there, and there's all these positions that they believe in, and there's the citizenry, the community that believes one way. As mayor, are you constantly having to use that kind of mentality that, look, it's not going to be I'm going to have to use each of these council members' ideas to get to that next level as a city.
Yes.
It's block by block or stone by stone.
Yes, no, absolutely. And it's interesting just putting that together based on kind of our conversation to this point, right? Because we got the connection with people, we talked about that, and then we talked about kind of the worldview, problem solving, that sort of thing. Yeah. And then we get to this phase where it's like, how do you put all those things together and become effective? Because that to me is critically important. If we're just yelling at somebody doing nothing, I'm not your guy. But if we're working towards something, I'm in, right? And so for me, that helped me listen and understand. So when people are bringing problems or challenges or changes they want to present, I have to understand those things, but then also make them actionable. We got to form this into something we can do. Like if we're just going to yell at people, then I'm not your guy.
Yeah.
Right. And so to that end, case in point, I came in just upset about shopping carts being stolen from grocery stores.
Yes.
It just makes me want to scream. I'm like, man, that's not right. If I push Brian's refrigerator down the street, I'm getting arrested, but I can steal this shopping cart and no one's going to say anything. Fine. But the blessing that came out of that conversation is they stepped me through it. So I'm sitting down with city management and police. They're like, okay, well, what do you want to do? I was like, we need to stop them and get the cart back. They're like, okay. So we go talk to them, and then they say, I found it. Now, there's no criminal activity there. Certainly, they shouldn't have it. So now we got stuff in it. We got to take the stuff out. We got to dispossess them of the shopping cart. What do we do with that? We throw it on top of the squad car. And is that the best and highest best use of our time?
Right.
Absolutely not.
No.
And so I had to be humble enough to understand that's something I want to address, but there's not a solution. Same thing right now. Like I've had thrown out a lot of ideas, and I think one's good, but they're not using it. So they must not agree.
Yeah.
But 4th of July, how many people do you know that are going to say they're popping fireworks all night and making noise, and y'all aren't coming out, or I'm calling and no one's showing up?
Yeah.
I mean, it is a known issue.
Absolutely.
But it's massive. And there's still people out doing all other things that police have to deal with.
Sure.
And so how do we come to a solution? And I don't know, sometimes there's just not one. And that's a challenge.
Well, before we end this, I got to ask, what's out there on the horizon for you next? I mean, I know you're a service-minded person. One of the things I think I read that you sent out to everyone is, if there's anything I can do for you, let me know. So you still have that service-minded heart and hat on, if you will. But what's next on the horizon for you?
Yes. So I'm going to get my business cards made that say, I'm Gerard Hudspeth, I'm from the government, and I'm here to help. No, that to me
That's
is
beautiful. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, but that really is, you're exactly right. It's helping people navigate government bureaucracy, which is a real thing, those delays, those counterintuitive thoughts, possibly. How do we get back on track? And so there was a church in another city that had done some work and they didn't pull a permit. And so they needed to understand how to get back on track. And so I organized a meeting with that particular city staff and directors and that sort of thing and got them back on track. There's another business that needed to understand, hey, there's this one-way road in front of our house. Our business, who do we talk to about that? How do we formulate a plan if we want to make that two-way? So reached out to TxDOT, reached out to the other city that's in that area and kind of coordinated those things. So we will certainly, and we as family, we will certainly run for something. It'll be partisan office. I want to go down that path until I'm done, and then we'll come back and potentially do city stuff. But that's the two are oil and water right now, and so I have to treat them separately. But so we'll run for office again because I think we do have a unique skill set to problem solve and step through issues, and a unique set of experiences that help lend itself to those conversations. And so we'll see where we land. But it's it's a little long-winded, but I had to start to open up my options because I was like, hey, God, use me, but in these areas.
Yeah, you're right.
And that doesn't work.
No, so maybe I may have some other ideas for you.
Yeah, so I'm new to, hey, wherever you need me, let's plug me in.
Well, look forward to that, whatever that might look like for you. And I appreciate the service that you've had over the last number of years, and I know the city does too. And thank you for jumping in on the show today. And I look forward to what's the next chapter for you.
Yes, sir. No, thank you for having me. It's truly an honor. It's a blessing. I love you very much and appreciate all you do for our community, your families. I mean, all the things, man. But thank you.
Thanks very much, Gerard.
Yes, sir.
Thanks. Thanks for joining me on this episode of Built for This. Be sure to follow Built for This on your favorite listening platform and share it with a friend. Join me on the next episode when I will share entertaining stories of inspiration, encouragement, and purpose-driven experiences. What are you built for? Built for This is produced and recorded by Heart Media DFW.